How much energy have you wasted on pointless arguments? How often have you felt trapped in conflicts that only drain you? There's a hidden power few master, one that can change your life completely. The power of ignoring. This isn't about indifference. It's about wisdom, because sometimes the greatest act of intelligence is not reacting. Today you'll discover why. If you're tired of wasting energy on pointless conflicts, this video is for you. Stay until the end. I'll share the exact strategies to master this skill, and if you're ready to reclaim your peace, hit like, subscribe, and let's begin. The trap of reaction from childhood. We're taught, if someone attacks us, we must defend ourselves. If someone challenges us, we must prove we're right. But what if that's exactly what the other person wants? Think about it. When someone insults you or criticizes you with malice, are they really seeking to understand your perspective? No. They want a reaction. They want to see you affected because that gives them power. Every time we fall into this trap, we hand our energy to someone who doesn't deserve it. It's like being on a boat. Someone throws a rock at you. Instead of sailing on, you stop to pick it up and throw it back. We don't realize it, but by doing this, we're steering their course. Reaction has become automatic. The moment we feel challenged, we react without thinking, almost like a reflex. Someone says something hurtful, and before we know it, we're in the middle of an argument, raising our voice, justifying ourselves. But what do we gain? How often does an argument end with both parties shaking hands and saying, "Great, now we understand each other better"? Never, because most conflicts aren't about understanding, they're about ego. The ego wants to defend itself. The ego wants to win. The ego wants to prove superiority. But true strength isn't about proving anything. It's about not needing to. There's an old Buddhist tale. A man was once insulted in the street. Instead of responding, he smiled and kept walking. A bystander asked, "Why didn't you say anything?" The man replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse it, who does the gift belong to?" That gift is the poison of others. Their criticisms, their attacks, their need to dominate. And most of us, without realizing it, accept it immediately. Every time we respond to provocation without thinking, we're accepting something that doesn't belong to us. We're letting others' words control our emotions. But it doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to react to everything. We don't have to fight every battle. There's something incredibly powerful in learning to ignore. Not out of indifference, but out of clarity, the certainty that some things aren't worth our energy. Sometimes the smartest thing we can do isn't to respond, but to observe. Observe how the other person tries to provoke and finds no answer. Observe how they expect a reaction and receive none. That's when control changes hands. Because the one who doesn't react, the one who refuses to be dragged in, holds the real power. Why do we argue so much? If you throw a stone into water, the surface ripples, but then returns to calm. The water doesn't cling to the disturbance. It doesn't hold a grudge. It simply flows. But humans are different. We don't just react when provoked. We often seek conflict without realizing it. Why? Because we've learned to argue as if it were necessary, as if proving we're right makes us stronger. But in reality, most arguments aren't about truth. They're about validation. When someone disagrees, we feel our identity is being questioned, and that discomfort drives us into battle. Yet here's the curious thing. If you look closely, you'll notice most fights don't come from a genuine search for understanding. They come from unresolved emotions. Someone who's had a bad day is more likely to argue. Someone who feels insecure will try to discredit others. Often arguments aren't about the topic at hand. They're about what's inside the person. And here's the key. If what's inside them is anger, frustration, or fear, and you play their game, you absorb those emotions. What started as a simple disagreement becomes an emotional battlefield. Suddenly it doesn't matter who's right. The only thing that matters is winning. But winning what? What do you gain by dominating an argument where the other person wasn't even willing to listen? Nothing. Just more exhaustion, more tension, more distance. We get stuck in endless arguments, with partners, friends, strangers online, and at the end of the day we're drained, without having changed anything. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes from attachment, and often we're too attached to our opinions. Our need to be understood, the idea that disagreement means we're wrong or have failed. But what if we let go of that attachment? What if we stopped seeing every disagreement as an attack? Because the truth is, you don't need everyone to agree with you. You don't need to convince anyone for your truth to remain true. There's something deeply liberating in understanding this, and that's where the power of non-reaction comes in. This isn't about staying silent always or avoiding deep conversations. It's about learning to distinguish between arguments that might bring value, arguments that will only drain you, knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Because ignoring isn't always a sign of weakness. Sometimes it's a sign of wisdom. And when you learn to ignore what doesn't deserve your attention, you discover something even more powerful: the art of non-response. The art of non-response. There's power in silence that few people understand. In a world where everyone feels the need to respond, defend, or justify every opinion, choosing not to react is an act of self-mastery. Ignoring doesn't mean surrendering. It means refusing to play a game where no one wins. Imagine someone stands in front of you yelling, waiting for you to yell back, but instead you stay calm, unmoved, expression steady. They grow desperate, raise their voice higher, but you remain silent. Eventually their energy burns out, and their anger dissolves into emptiness. That's the art of non-response. Most people aren't looking for dialogue. They want a reaction. They want to see you, lose your temper, raise your voice, beg for validation. It's like they're casting a fishing line, hoping you'll bite. The best way to win. Don't play. This isn't about repression or pretending to be indifferent. It's about observing before acting. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Will this argument lead anywhere? Or will it drag me into a pointless cycle? Every time you choose to respond, you're investing your attention, and attention is one of your most valuable resources. The ego tells us, if you don't respond, you're losing. If you don't defend yourself, they've won. But the truth, nothing is more powerful than proving they can't shake your inner peace. Calmness disarms everyone. In Buddhist philosophy, the wind can stir dust, but it can't move a mountain. When you practice non-response, you become that mountain. This doesn't mean you don't feel or care. It means you choose which battles are worth fighting and which aren't worth a second of your peace. Sometimes the best response is none at all. Not because you have nothing to say, but because your silence says everything. When someone attacks and gets no reaction, they realize they have no control over you. And when people see they can't manipulate you with words, they stop trying. But there's a deeper layer to this practice. It doesn't just protect you from unnecessary conflicts, it trains your mind. When you learn to observe without reacting, you notice anger, frustration, the urge to defend, all are fleeting impulses. If you let them pass without acting, they vanish. Non-response isn't just a strategy to avoid arguments, it's a path to inner freedom. When you stop depending on others' opinions, when you no longer need to validate yourself in every conversation, you discover a tranquility that can't be bought. And in that space of calm, something powerful emerges: clarity. With your energy no longer wasted on senseless debates, you gain time to think deeply, create, focus on what truly matters. Most importantly, you realize not everything deserves your attention. Because when you master the art of silence, you also master when to speak, and that's where true wisdom lies. Strategies to avoid conflict. Many believe avoiding arguments means giving in, staying silent, walking away. But there's a smarter way. Disarm the conflict before it begins, not through avoidance, but strategy. The problem: most arguments start with emotion, not logic. If you match that energy, collision is inevitable. But if you break the cycle before it escalates, the argument loses fuel. How to do it? Use disarming phrases. Instead of engaging in attack-defense, say, "I hear your perspective. Let's revisit this when we're both calmer." These responses don't concede, but leave no room for escalation. Don't take it personally. Often people argue because of unresolved issues that have nothing to do with you. Respond neutrally. "I won't discuss this right now," or simply stay silent. Let them exhaust themselves. Use humor. If someone provokes you, respond with lightness. It strips their attack of power, not by dismissing it, but by refusing to play their game. Remember, you don't have to participate. You're not obligated to join every conflict someone tries to start. You don't need to prove anything, convince anyone. You can walk away without a word. And that's not losing. It's preserving your peace. Over time, you'll realize true power isn't in winning arguments. It's in not needing to. The freedom of not engaging. When you stop reacting to provocations, something incredible happens. You reclaim control of your life. No more energy wasted on pointless fights, stress over negative comments, desperate need to prove yourself. Instead, you experience a freedom few ever do. Your peace no longer depends on others. Most people live like puppets. Their mood swings with every criticism. They feel compelled to respond to every challenge. But when you choose not to engage, you break those strings. Buddhism teaches impermanence. Hurtful words fade. Glaring looks pass. Unfair criticisms don't last, unless you hold on to them. Ignoring isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's realizing that most conflicts are just noise, distracting you from what matters. And when you stop giving them energy, something shifts. Those who provoked you lose interest. Your environment adapts to your calm. True freedom isn't about controlling others. It's about choosing where to invest your energy. Ask yourself, do I really want to give this my power? If the answer is no, smile, move on, and let the noise fade. Because when you master non-reaction, you're no longer a prisoner of impulses, you're free. How to cultivate an unshakable mind? Ignoring distractions is the first step. But true transformation happens when you strengthen your mind to the point where provocations don't even register as relevant. How to build mental resilience? Observe your mind without judgment. When you feel the urge to argue, pause. Ask, what emotion is driving this? Is it ego, insecurity, fear? Understanding the root is more useful than forced silence. Practice detachment. Buddhism reminds us, nothing is permanent. Criticism, praise, even your identity, all will change. Ask, will this matter in a month, a year? If not, why give it weight now? Meditate daily. You don't need hours of silence. Even 5 minutes of focused breathing trains you to pause before reacting to thoughts and external triggers. Surround yourself with peace. Reduce exposure to toxic debates, negative news, people who thrive on drama. What you consume shapes your mind. Use humor. Not everything needs seriousness. Laughing at conflicts without mocking lightens their grip. Over time, you'll notice provocations stop affecting you, not because you're suppressing reactions, but because they no longer resonate. That's the mark of an unshakable mind. Now we've got a conclusion. Imagine your life if criticism didn't shake you. Pointless arguments no longer dragged you in. You could stay calm no matter what. That's the power of ignoring. Not arrogance, not indifference. Wisdom. You don't owe the world explanations. Debates. Validation. You're here to live in peace. Buddhism teaches, suffering comes from attachment. We're attached to our opinions, our image, our need to be right. But when we let go, we discover happiness doesn't require controlling everything around us. Ignoring isn't repression, it's curating your energy. So the next time someone tries to pull you into conflict, ask, is this important? Is it worth my peace? If the answer is no, let it pass. You don't need to win every battle. You just need to protect your peace. Because true strength isn't in loud reactions, it's in the quiet power of choosing silence. When you master this, you'll realize you've grown, you're free, and no external noise can ever shake you again. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. We've all been drained by useless arguments, and we can all learn to let go. Drop a comment below. What was your biggest insight? Have you used non-reaction in your life? For more tools on inner peace, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you for your time and attention. Remember, your peace is yours. Protect it fiercely.